Hey guys, welcome to our ongoing series of painting our Blood Bowl box. So, um, if this is your first time joining us, uh, I have been working on this Blood Bowl box for the last 8 chapters of this. Um, this is more a learning series for me. Not painting wise. I've been painting for a while, but more of me trying to figure out what I want my live streams to look and have a feel to them, make them a little bit unique. Um, so let's get going. Um, so we are going to start painting the bone. Oh, I okay. I hope you can hear me much better. My mic was I heard the piece of my mic. Um, so today we're painting the tusk right here in our character. Okay, so for the bones, we're using where is it? We're using micro paint for the bones. We're using buff. Um, so it's a yellowish whitish color. Um, so right here it's different tones. So you get flat white, and you get a skin tone color, and then you go more. I'm gonna use the paint shaker. Where is my oh, well, we are doing this old school then. Hey, we got another viewer. Thank you. Welcome, welcome, and good morning. So, okay. Yeah, I've been playing Blood Bowl for, I want to say a month, and I'm very much enjoying it. Um, it's definitely very random, and even some of the rules are like assist the game with their randomness. Um, so they don't use a normal P6. They use a custom P6 with symbol. Um, the odds on it is different. Um, for example, there's two symbols that allow you to push the character in certain directions. Then there's a um another symbol that like hurts you, but then there's another one that hurts you and your teammate, and there's just one symbol that hurts the opponent, and there's another symbol that hurts you. So it is it's very interesting how random it is. It's like um a true like my first game, I learned the rules. I didn't know much, but and I was playing against this guy, and I told him, please don't let me win. Like actually, like teach me to like play the game. And he did. He played. He said like, "Wow, you did very well for your first game." I'm shocked because I didn't play good. I did not. I was not a good player, but the randomness of the game made me good. Um, if you like like a fun random game that you do not know what's gonna happen, I very much suggest Blood Bowl. Um, to give you an example, this guy over here, this troll character has an ability that allows you to throw the scratching characters anywhere on the board, and you can use them as projectiles. You can use them as projectiles. You can use them as them holding the ball and then throwing them and then going for a touchdown. He also has an ability that it's kind of like it's similar to 40k in a sense that it goes right instead of having like a save, it goes right to wounding roll. So it's called vomit. and it's really interesting. It's really funny actually when it happens. So vomit, how it works for the troll is the troll troll troll. Okay, the troll. You roll dice, and if it's a one, the troll vomits on itself, and now the troll has to roll for its wound roll. It goes it goes straight to the wound roll. It doesn't do armor save or nothing like that. Um, and the troll, and if he, um, oh, and also like all big characters. Well, not all big characters. All really tough characters like giants and ogres and trolls and minotaurs in the game. They have this ability that allow they're really tough, but in true like RPG mode, um, the characters are very dumb. So like before you do anything at all, you have to roll a d6, and you have to roll a three up. And if it's a three up, the the stroll gets to do something. Uh, but if it's below that, he's just confused and doesn't do anything at all. There's also another ability called Frenzy. If it's like going berserk, um, he basically gets confused and hits your teammate, or could hit your teammate. So another thing is you could put a character with Frenzy far into the opponent's field, and possibly hurt multiple of his models by him throwing Frenzy in your opponent's side of the field. So how's your morning going? Oh, now we're gonna go ahead and paint the skull on his forehead. And it's okay if we get some of the oh, Leela, my cat just walked in. What was gonna say? Oh, it's okay if you paint a little bit of the head. We're gonna clean it up after. Hey, we got someone else. Welcome. I hope you're having a good morning. So we have this giant tusk right here, piercing this zombie. I want to say, if it's just a corpse, that's interesting. That's obviously you can pin it that way. It'd be cool if it was a zombie. Right? Hey, welcome and good morning to our little painting hangout. I hope you're having a good morning. Okay, so next we're gonna go ahead and paint the ribs of this. I'm gonna call it zombie. Yeah, zombie. So right now, I'm just trying to look for more bone. They're sticking out. Oh, we have a couple. Eat them. This teeth. Let me water down this paint a little bit more. I need a smaller brush. I could do a red brush. Right now, we're just trying to get every crevice where we just painted the bone. And touch up certain places that we didn't get it the first time. All right. Oh, hello and good morning. So I'm just going around, seeing if I miss any bone parts. Let me see. No, I don't see any more bone. Let's go ahead and do a little touch up with the leather. So for the leather,
For the leather, I use rust oxide micro paint. Oh, there it goes. And this is a good, nice tan leather. So if you see the shoulder, you can see what it looks like after the shade. Paint shaker, excuse me. Okay, where is my... Oh, it's over here. Where is it? Over here. My droplet for water downing the leather. And if we get a little bit of the red cloth or the shield, that's okay. We're just gonna clean it up later. Now, water down two very thin layers of leather. Want to very much water down the So, as you can see, we water down well, as you can see, it's looking good. So next, we're gonna do the bronze for the character.
So we're gonna do this chainmail little bronze. Oh, actually, no. There's still more leather to paint. Sorry. So the shoulder pads right here, and the strap. And if we get a little bit of the metal plate, that's fine. We're just gonna paint over them, like right here. I just got a little bit of the plate, so we're just gonna paint over them. I'm trying to figure out if this part right here is leather. 'Cause I think it is. I think this is just a. Let's find out. So let me just share this really quick to show you what it looks like. Where is it? Come on. Where is it? Where is it? Very interesting. Apparently, this guy, I'm looking at the Warhammer website right now. You can only get him in the start collecting box that we bought a while back. That's how I got this guy. Um, so as you can see right here, uh, this is what he looks like. Just pop. Oh. So, yeah, this is what he's supposed to look like. Now, see that strap? That is a leather strap that we're trying to paint on him. So, that part right there, definitely leather. So, we are gonna make it leather. So right now there's two straps of leather right there that we're trying to paint.
We're gonna clean up that little mistake
I did right there. So right here is the guy, and right now I'm just going around the model trying to find every little piece of leather that I missed. Oh, there we go. See that right there? Under the armpits, that's a piece of leather I missed.
Now we're going to do the shoes.
Now the shoes, they have this plate right here, but above that, that's leather. So let's go ahead and paint that. Let's get a bigger brush for this.
Oops, dropped the paintbrush.
And I just noticed this whole, oops, sorry. I just noticed this whole area right here. There's a plate.
We are going to fix that later on.
Smaller brush. I need more leather. Trying to look for the leather that I was just using. So for leather, we use micro rust oxide. Well, that's not good. I just drop a lot of paint that is not supposed to be there. I use the wrong color. Okay. But don't see any. Wait. Yes, I see some more leather that we missed. The zombie being strapped to the back has some leather, so let's go ahead and paint that. Got some more leather in the zombie. Right here in his hand. All right. So let's keep going around. Oh, I see some more leather right there. Okay, we're just going around the model looking for any more leather. Don't see anymore. So you know what? Let's go ahead and start putting some bronze in this model. So for copper or bronze, I always use this one. Uh, Warpaint's True Copper. It is a very nice copper. So if you look at, let's say this guy right here, number 11. So as you can see the helmet part right here, that's once you put the dark shade, it becomes more bronze looking. So let's go ahead and shake it.
Liftoff of mission 41D, the first flight of the orbital Discovery, and the shuttle has cleared the tower. Discovery's core computers now have primary control of critical vehicle functions.
So now, let's go ahead and paint that copper. Okay, sorry about that. Needed to get my phone charger. My phone just died, and I need to go to work soon. So, well, not soon, but soonish. Have to pay for this model somehow.
So very much we want to water down this paint as much as we can. So we just very thin coat right here.
So yes, we just want to water down this as much as we can. As you can see, we just want to make sure
that we don't get as much of the model.
There we go. So let's go ahead and get the back part.
There we go. Hit this belt buckle. There we go. Nice thin coat. So thank you for joining me for this chill painting session. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Our channel is mostly everything Warhammer, so if you like Warhammer, we're most likely gonna talk about Oops.
That's supposed to.
Go ahead and paint this tusk copper. It's okay if we get a little bit of the
Tusk. We're gonna paint, fix it later.
get this spike right here in the zombie.
This bracelet right here.
Get this belt buckle.
So I'm gonna repaint this into a copper, like bronze plate.
This was Knuckle. We're gonna go ahead and paint it for us, Knuckle. All right. Sorry about this. Just trying to figure out why is this screen looking not sure if it's good for this one. So we just go around, making sure we don't miss another copper. Oh, you know what? We did miss some copper. Okay. Um. It's getting hot. I live in California right now, and it's like 95 where I am. Okay, so oh, they're having announcements happening for Warhammer. See, I'm just looking for any more copper. Oh, they have a. Let's see if I can share what's going on right now with the Warhammer stuff. Oh, let's see if I can share.
Mhm. Wow. Okay. Let's see what we can do. Oh shoot. Oh. Oh, there. Oh, Votan's getting a shitload of models. Oh my god. Whoa, Votan. Wow. Oh my lord. Whoa. Well, that's crazy. I can't believe. Well, it was about time. That it was just about time that they got models. It has been a while since they got anything. Oh wow. I'm really loving it. Oh wow. Oh, oops. Oops. Oh, there we go. Sorry about that. Oh, technical difficulties. Okay. Whoa.
who are fans of the League of Votan will understand that the Ironkin are
Abominable intelligences.
Well, not in their mind, but they're artificial intelligences which they hold an equal position within Votan society. There's a CU unit inside of each of them, and that's sort of within that iron dome that is normally fans of the League of Votan. The first really cool thing about this model is that you see the little noodly things.
Abominable intelligences.
Well, not in their mind, but they're right. These cables that come out of him. Each of those is an additional CU unit, so he is the combined intelligence of multiple Ironkin, essentially, and he uses that to enormous effect in terms of strategy and tactics on the battlefield, directing the efforts of the kin around him. It keys into a rule as well, which is known as yield points, which we'll talk a little bit more about later. And most importantly, he looks amazing.
It's a very, very cool miniature, isn't it? Really characterful. I think also got some spare arms on the front there, which is holding onto his little data pad. He's tapping away on there, giving orders to all the various kin and Leagues of Votan units across the battlefield. And his main pair of arms he's used to sort of hold in his contemplative states, which is the exact pose that I have when I'm considering my movement phase in Warhammer 40,000.
And if you want to dazzle your friends with some knowledge, the array he's got on his back is called a cognitar mantle, and that's where he gets like his extra brain power from. Really sensational. Speaking of Ironkin, these are a new unit of Ironkin. They are called the Steeljacks. 2 types of metal in one name.
I don't know how I feel about that character.
Yeah, so this is the Ironkin Steeljacks. They are a specialist more warrior type of Ironkin. A lot of the Ironkin are fairly sort of helpful. They're kind of default
normal civilian roles in society.
Default state is a sort of friendly, affable helpers for the Leagues of Votan for the kin. These are a much more warlike programming, so they march out actively into battle seeking conflict. They are in very large suits of armor, so they stand kind of almost twice the height of a kin or a League of Votan warrior, and they have got some pretty decent weaponry as well. You can kit them out in a variety of different ways. You can either go combat leaning. This is an example there, where you can have like concussion fists and bolt guns, or you can go with a ranged option. In game terms, they work a little bit like Wraithguard, I suppose, is the closest approximate. So very durable unit, quite powerful weaponry, very good for doing things like moving on to an objective and trying to hold on to it, and fighting off enemy counterattacks, that sort of thing.
Yeah, I mean, in real terms, heavily armed, heavily armoured, extremely dangerous unit. You can see the leader in the squad, as you've looked at these pictures, by the Primarch crest, which sort of rises above his head. There we are in the background. He's got a plasma sword. Guy on the front's got a concussion fist. Great new addition to the Leagues of Votan army, I think it's fair to say. We're not done. There's more. The Chthonian Earthshaker channels some really strong energy from that sort of rogue trading era. Do you remember mole mortars for squat
Very
armies?
well, yes.
So these are sort of inverse artillery in that rather than lobbing a shot high above the enemy, they fire those mole shells that you can see down at the bottom deep into the ground. They burrow in on the enemy and emerge in a trench line, in a bunker, and just blow everyone to kingdom come.
Each one of these is a really lovely sort of diorama in their own right as well. So you can see the kin there working with the Iron Kin, loading up the artillery. You can see one of them there with his little scanner, almost directing the mole as it kind of buries underground towards the enemy fortifications. Obviously, it's a powerful piece in game.
This is crazy.
Nice kind of ways that this will bolster your Leagues of Votan force, which at the moment maybe doesn't have a huge amount of very long range artillery. And yeah, I think it's a great kit, really.
Awesome. Speaking of the bigger models that are inside this launch, we have the Capricus. So the Capricus is one of those kits that makes 2 things. You can see here the Capricus Defender. We'll show you the Capricus Carrier in a minute.
It's a flying or hover?
It is either a sort of attack vehicle for the Ironkin, or it's a transport vehicle. They've got so this is the carrier. So it's a smaller gun. It's got less other weapons on it, and you can see the stowage bag for the crew that's right in the back. Whichever you take, essentially this is enabling your Ironkin to get around from A to B and hold the ground that they're taking. Yeah,
so it adds a bit of a mobility into your Leagues of Votan force. It carries 5 models, so it works a little bit like the other kind of Leagues of Votan transports, where you pick one of your units, it can split into 2 groups of 5. 5 of them can ride around in one of these. If you've got 2 of the transports, you can obviously ride them around in 2 of the transports. And as you say, Adam, you can choose between either having the transport option, or you can just have all the guns that have a fast-moving fire support
3.0.
unit.
Yeah, for me, this is stunning. This is what made me march off to Warhammer World yesterday and buy the Hernkin.
There's some really lovely little touches on this. The stowage bags are really nice at the back. I like that you can build this with 2 Ironkin as well. So if you want
Yes,
an Ironkin
yeah.
pilot and an Ironkin gunner, you can build them like that. Fans of Ironkin generally, there is a lot of Ironkin
Yeah, you've
in
done
this
quite well
Leagues
this
of
week.
Votan
Yeah,
release.
absolutely so. There's also a new combat patrol for the Leagues of Votan on the way. We're all familiar with combat patrols if we're familiar with Warhammer 40,000. If you're new, let me explain what
it
they
has
do.
the
It's a
Harkin
fantastic way to
guard.
start an army. Or to bolster an army if you've already got one. This one really focuses on those sort of kin bands that make up the mainstay of the force. You've got the Thunderers in the background, the Hearth Guard in the middle. It's just wonderful ingredients to bulk out a force.
Yeah, there's some really useful units in there as well. Like, you don't tend to see a League of Votan army that doesn't have all of those units
Yeah,
in.
there's no wastage there.
So
right?
it's all good stuff. A couple of boxes of these, and then a couple of the new units, and you've got an army
You're
basically.
away. Yeah, absolutely so.
That is.
Now,
Whoa!
on to, for many people's opinion, I
Look
expect
at
the
that
main
guy.
event of this release. This is Bury Agneson. Eddie?
So Bury Agneson is the last survivor of a Leagues of Votan clan,
let's-
which has
let's
been
take a break and
consumed
cement.
by the encroaching Tyranid menace. He is known as the Thrice Devoured.
man.
A Tyranid monster has actually eaten this guy, but that wasn't enough to keep him down. He clawed his way out of its gullet, climbed his way back out to safety 3 times,
wow.
apparently.
Look at that thing.
And now goes across the galaxy, across the kin warbands as a roving Tyranid killing specialist.
Yeah,
effectively.
absolutely. He's in terms of specialist, he is an absolutely elite combat unit. He's equipped with that Dark Star glaive, which you see there, which is called Bane. He's pure violence in melee form.
I think you're going to get a lot of this guy in armies because his rules are very good. He is he's got a
We
great
need
combat stat line, but he's also a lone operative. So you can imagine this guy advancing either on his own or alongside, kind of behind your forces, and swooping in on the big enemy monsters and
Votan
stuff
need
that get
another
forward to threaten
character.
your battle line.
Yeah, and his lore really comes into it. So he's a member of, well, he's the only member now of an organisation called the Emberg Aegir Bloc, which is one of the Leagues of Votan, literally wiped out down to the very last kin, which is this guy. And so he's so bitter, his whole life is devoted now to just hunting down
Finally,
the Tyranid
they
menace and
had
supporting
one
other
character,
leagues to stop the
one
same thing
named
happening to them.
character, the
And you see that
Votan,
played
and
out on
that's
his
it.
model. He's got this sort of belt buckle, which very much looks like he's sort of taken some affectations from the Tyranids. He's got what looks like, we've been having quite a discussion about this, a Tyranid Prime sort of cadaver.
I think it's a
over his
Tyranid
head.
Prime that he's got over the top of his head.
Yeah.
There's a nice little nod in this model as well to there's like the idea at some point that the squats were eaten by the Tyranids.
Yeah, absolutely. We
And
used to-
this guy kind of goes, well, yeah, they were eaten by the Tyranids, but also they clawed their way out again. So there is a little bit of truth to that sort of that outdated understanding maybe of what happened to that faction.
Fantastic. And all this obviously will be supported with Codex Leagues of Votan, an all new Codex for Warhammer 40,000, which contains, I've had quite a while to read this week. It's just full of spankingly good lore. It's got great rules and art. It explains all of the new things, obviously. In terms of the rules, there's too much to go into in any real detail here, but a thing to cover would be those yield points, which is the sort of army-wide mechanic which underpins them.
Absolutely, yeah. So yield points effectively changes the way your army works over the course of the game, and it works in the way that the Leagues of Votan approach acquisition effectively. So early on in the game, when you haven't got very many yield points, you're getting bonuses for attacking enemy units on objectives for the most part across your army.
so
and
they're
then later
getting
on,
rid
once
of
you've acquired
the
yield points, you get bonuses for
grudge
having your own
mechanic?
units on objectives. So they get better at defending them, better
I guess they're
bonuses
getting
for
rid
their
of the
own defense,
grudge
that sort of
mechanic.
thing.
Yeah, it
So
sort of encourages you to play in that very sort of acquisition-focused way that the Leagues of Votan
yeah.
work.
And it's a really great mechanic, right? Because it's exactly how you win games of Warhammer 40,000. Early on, you kick people off objectives. Later on, you hold on to the objectives. So
And
it's
some of the
powerful.
new units that we've shown and some of the units that already exist in the Votan army now have rules that key into that. For example, the Memnir Strategist just lets you increase or decrease your yield score by 1 each turn.
Yeah.
So really sort of thoughtfully put in so that this guy who's overseeing the total sort of tactical function of your army can just go nudge and help you out.
Yeah.
We should show some of the models.
Let's do it, yeah.
So we've got some in front of us. We're very lucky to be allowed to put our paws on the heavy metal miniatures. So
Oh, come on.
there'll be a
Let's
bit of,
zoom in
sort
on
of
that.
scale comparison here. But here you can see this is the Arcanist, and then you've got the Memnir. They're like normal Votan sized. So any kin is about the same sort of proportion as those. And here you can see just how sort of much bigger the Steeljacks are. I think your comparison, Eddie, that you made to compare them to Wraithguard is really quite fair.
Yeah, they're about the
actually.
same size as a Wraithguard. It's kind of in that ballpark of kind of medium heavy infantry. This is the new artillery piece. It's maybe not like as big as something like an Imperial Guard tank or something like that, but compact, mobile, that sort of thing, fitting in with the aesthetic of the rest of the Leagues of Votan. You can sort of imagine its starting life as a piece of mining equipment, and they've sort of evolved it into a weapon.
You can definitely see sort of some of those origins. I just want to draw some attention to some of the super cool bits on it. This guy here, you can see over his shoulder, he's got like a data slate. You've got this sort of, I don't know, like loading hatch that you can model open or closed. On this side, you've got a case which has more of the shells. You get spare shells to put on their own bases. It's just a really thoughtfully designed and very exciting kit. So we should show more though, because this is by no means the end of it.
Absolutely, we've got the Capricus here. So we'll just make some space on the table so we can have a look at this guy. So this is your new vehicle. This is the Defender pattern, which is the gun version. And as you can see there, there's a little bit of space, not quite enough space for transport on this one, but there is one which is a transport vehicle. But I really like the Ironkin on this. Is actually
He's got like a tiny little chair.
He's quite small, yeah, because they wouldn't fit a full-sized kin in there. So they've given him a little tiny Ironkin, actually perfectly designed for the role.
Absolutely, and I guess the star of the show himself in many ways.
He is.
Agnir
So the
Burrison.
thrice devoured there. He's still kind of kin-sized, but you can have a look on this model here that so much of him is now bionic, right? So he's been chewed up and
fingers that do it.
yeah, chewed up
Really
and
cool.
spat out so many times that like his arm, bits of his arms, there, most of his face, perhaps a kind of unspecified amount of his body has probably been dissolved by horrible Tyranid bioacid in their stomach and things. But he's still kicking, and it also shows how durable the kin are, right? So they're specially designed by their Votan to be durable, to endure kind of the most hostile conditions, and he's a good example of how that's kind of manifesting.
Yeah, that's really cool, isn't it? I think we've covered the League thoroughly, right?
Yeah.
Before we move on, we're going to go to the Old World next. A couple of sort of housekeeping bits. The
We're
first
getting
one would be
old world stuff.
we're going to return to the 41st Millennium at the end of the preview. So particularly if you like Kill Team, but also there's some other things for other factions as well. Do hang around if you like Warhammer 40,000. The other thing I would say is that lots of the people who mentioned that they were joining us from around the world, you can interact with our social teams. We have international social teams that manage our various sort of social media places. Here they are. If you want to sort of get involved in the conversation in the language which suits you, go knock yourself out. They're really lovely people. They're really engaged and want to sort of make sure that you get to hear about Warhammer in the language that suits you. So and if you speak English or you're willing to take a pot shot at it, these are our socials as well. So please come and join the conversation.
Yeah, we'll see you there. Yep.
Right, time for a little bit of Warhammer: The Old World.
Yeah, let's do it.
Let's do it.
So first up, we have brand new units for the Tomb Kings of Khemri. This is a new multi-part plastic kit that makes the Royal Heralds. The easiest way to describe these is that you have a battle standard bearer and you have a new hero / lord. You could make that and call it a Tomb Prince or a Tomb King. I think it's up to you. You get a battle standard, which you can put on either thing. So if you fancy a faster moving battle standard, stick it on the horse guy. If you fancy him like standing around in one of your big regiments of skeleton warriors or tomb guard, then go for the on foot version. There's some options in terms of head things as well. Battle standard bearers are key to Warhammer armies. If you play the Old World, you'll know.
Yeah, I love this battle standard. That kind of weird scorpion, both the paint scheme and the model itself are very cool. As you say, this is multi-part as well, so you can swap and change if you want the faster one. If you've got lots of chariots or something, you can mix them in. I would imagine there's a fair bit of customizability between this kit and some of the other Tomb Kingy bits as well.
Yes, yeah, not just within this kit itself, but also I think things like the Tomb Guard, for example. So this isn't the only new plastic kit coming for the Tomb Kings of Khemri. We also have the Leech Priests, who are fundamental to the workings, literally, of the Tomb Kings.
Yeah, you absolutely need Lich Priests in your army if you've got a Tomb King's army. Your army only woke up because you had Lich Priests. It's their job to kind of keep the magic flowing that keeps your army marching forward. Again, this is a multi-part kit. There's some lovely options on these. You can see they're perhaps a little bit less dead than some of the other Khemri, but they're still very definitely desiccated. Definitely spent far too long in the desert inside a pyramid somewhere. I love the vulture on the top of the staff.
Yeah, absolutely. So thanks for bringing that back. It's a really lovely image. These sort of animated creatures that have sort of come alive
Yeah.
through the magic of the rituals. That
I
have
think
taken
you were
place.
saying as well that looks like it's right out of a piece of Warhammer art. Doesn't
Yeah,
it? Like
the mounted guy in particular, I think they're both exquisite. But the mounted guy, from sort of the perfect angle, he just looks like the artwork, and I mean that as the highest possible compliment. Tomb King veterans might be wondering if that's extra armor on the skeletal steed. It certainly is. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But yes, you can have a
Wow.
barded
I
skeletal
can't-
steed, which
whoa,
I think
Tomb
might be
Kings
quite
are
useful if
gonna-
you're used to terrible armor saves in your Tomb King's army. I guess we can talk about that now. If we go across to also coming out is a new arcane journal, The War of Cetra's Fury. Cetra, the imperishable, is very, very angry. His lands have been defiled. He feels like he owns everything. And he is launching a full-scale invasion northward into the sort of border region between the Empire and Bretonnia, sort of known as the Vaults. It's also inhabited by some dwarfs, and you've got sort of dispossessed barons and nobles from both the Empire and Bretonnia. And so they are forced to rally in defense of a full-scale invasion of the undead from Khemri. There are rules for sort of allied forces, playing smaller games in like a timely and interesting fashion. It's just packed, and it's a really cool way of looking at the lore of the old world and how they're sort of explaining the things that took place in this particular part of the Warhammer timeline.
Yeah, it's great to get some new lore for the old world as well. I think.
Yeah,
it's,
absolutely.
The team diving into the opportunities that the world allows them to have.
And see what I mean about the artwork, right? Sort of the guy in the centre, like it just in this piece, it really just screams the imagery that we saw before. I love it. There's another arcane journal coming, which is equally exciting. Just happens at the other side, quite literally, of the region in the old world known as the old world. This is Dawn of the Storm Dragon, and it features a bold strategic move made by Miao Ying, who's the lady pictured in the centre. She's one of the children of the Dragon Emperor. And she learns of the Chaos Invasion, which is happening in the north, and is concerned that it's going to gain too much traction. So loads ships full of Grand Cathayan soldiers and sails to the Empire, sets up an enclave, and helps to try and stymie this Chaos Invasion. In real terms, that's A, cool story, and B, there's rules in there for all sorts of things, including the opportunity to have an allied force of Grand Cathay and the Empire of Man.
That's exciting. That's exciting.
That is
We've
really
never had
cool,
anything
yeah.
like that before, really, have we? So
Yeah, so, and I think this is sort of a great example of the really sort of bold and exciting things that the studio team responsible for the old world are doing. They clearly love the setting. They want to explore it in really rich and vibrant detail.
sounds great.
Absolutely. So, we should throw over to Question Corner and see if Simon's got any pertinent questions for us.
What have you got for us, Simon?
Yeah,
Loads
Simon.
and loads of questions. I think the majority of them are focusing on the Leagues of Votan. There's loads of shiny new toys coming out there, of course. So the first one is actually about the Judgment tokens. Are they still a thing? Obviously, we've got the yield rules, but what about Judgment tokens?
So the focus in terms of the arming mechanic is those yield points that we've talked about before. It's always good when we get a question which is like, can you tell me the really grainy, like granular rules things? Because the answer is no. We've got 90 minutes to rail through as much stuff as we can, as fast as we can. We'll cover way more detail about Votan rules and mechanics and all those things as we lead towards it. But you're in for some subtle changes in the way the Leagues of Votan work, and it's quite exciting.
Cool. We've got another one, which were the funky drill shell tokens on the Chthonian Earthshaker. What do they represent?
So I do have a really short and candid answer for that. You saw them on the little base beside. The kit comes designed for you to have 2 of those. And if I remember correctly, and don't like sue me internet if I get it wrong, you put them down alongside the Earthshaker when you deploy, and you can remove one from the game to give yourself rerolls on wound rolls as you're playing. So kind of fun.
okay.
It's like it represents something, and you take it off and you spend it.
Yeah, so the unit is sort of set up so that they have some specialist shells. So that'd be like representing the unit being like, right, we're going to use one of the big ones now. This is the important shot.
Perfect.
And probably got time for one more. So let's go with how many models can the Capricus carrier transport?
Great question.
It carries 5, so it works a little bit like some of the other Leagues of Votan transports, where you take a unit of, usually come in 10s, you split the unit in half, so 5 of them can go in that. If you've got 2 of the transports, you can carry both the units round in those, or you can leave 5 of them back on your baseline and deploy them elsewhere.
Grant, that's good.
Nice one. Thank you. So we'll draw a curtain on the old world, but we will go to the mortal realms instead. There's some exciting things for us to talk about here. And let's start with a new battle tome for Death, the Death Grand Alliance. These are the Flesh Eater Courts. Many of you will be familiar with them. These are the like foul and abominable cannibal monstrosities who unfortunately have delusions, quite literally, of being noble and elegant and chivalric. And
Now
the
this
truth
model's
couldn't be sort of further from
got
that.
a
Yeah, they
lot.
absolutely
Like
imagine
this
that they
guy's
are in
got a
service
lot
to
of
some grand
models.
king on perhaps a grand crusade of some
Lots
sort, or part of a
couple
pageant, or a noble feast of
of,
some sort, but are in fact horrible, degenerate cannibals, as you say. The new battle tome has all the stuff that you would expect. Lots of new ways to use your army,
Yeah,
new
they
magic
got a lot of
abilities,
models.
new
A
enhancements,
couple months.
changes to
Was
some
it
of
a
the
couple
way the
months?
war scrolls
God,
work. So
it was
lots
like
of
a year
exciting stuff.
ago.
And perhaps most excitingly, there is a new miniature on the way to accompany them, which is the High Falconer Felgrin. So much like the
Okay.
rest of the Flesh
Listen,
Eater Court,
man,
this
watch
guy is
this
under
guy.
an illusion. His particular delusion is that he is a falconer in charge of noble and wise avian creatures, where in fact he is in charge of a swarm of rabid bats. In the model is very characterful. Like he's got his kind of weird, crazy hat. He's
Okay.
got
You can see
kind of
the almost like the vestiges of that nobility that you were just referring to, right? He's got like a very sort of like huntsman-y style hat on,
Yep.
and the tattered
I'll be
robes
honest,
of a person that might
he
be
looks
performing that
like
duty.
he will
But
fit
he's
in
also got
Blood
guts
Bowl.
hanging off the
It's a
trees
very
quite
fun.
well.
It's a very fun miniature. I think in the spinning shot, maybe you can just picture it. But there's a bat that comes with him, which is basically a token that represents something in the game, where he sends one of his falcons off to spy an enemy unit, and that can give you bonuses in games, basically. So these are the kind of spies, the eyes and ears of the Flesh Eater Courts. And if you direct it to an enemy unit, it can give your squires, your kind of ghouls, bonuses against that enemy unit. You can do things like take away their ward save and get better at killing them, basically. So a very useful unit to have in your game, and a very characterful model for your army.
Nice. There's also accompanying this release for the Flesh Eater Courts, the Charnel Watch. This is a new spearhead, so you can use it straight in games of spearhead, or you can use this to bulk out, or maybe you can use this to bulk out your existing Flesh Eater Courts army. This is a fast-moving, hard-hitting, infantry-focused spearhead. It's got models that you'll be very familiar with, and the way that they synergize within this game, within Spearhead, is really fun. Expect sort of lightning assaults, and then using monstrous-sized infantry to sweep the enemy away.
Yeah, also a great start to a larger Age of Sigmar
absolutely.
army for Flesh Eater Courts. It combos really nicely with the existing Flesh Eater Courts spearhead. So if
Yeah.
you've got that already, you can add this in, and you've basically got most of an army. Yeah, some really good stuff. A couple of the cannibal monkeys in there as well, which
It's what
always
everybody
a winner.
needs, right?
Who doesn't love that?
There's another battle tome for the sort of Death faction, which is the Nighthaunt. Here we have Death Battle Tome Nighthaunt. They're a very popular, iconic faction within the Mortal Realms. They sort of had their place within the second edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and they've really sort of cemented their spot as sort of beloved. This book is like ram-packed with the lore that explains them all, as well as all of the war scrolls and information that you would need. I was talking to an avid Nighthaunt player about this yesterday, who was super excited because he's sort of in the know enough to know, for example, that their ward saves are improving across the board, and so he's very excited.
They
to
were
try those
very
in games.
squishy.
Yeah, there's some significant defensive buffs for the Nighthaunt, certainly, with this battle tome. Generally speaking, you're finding that the units have a bit more health. The way that their immunity to rend works has changed a little bit. So generally their normal saves are a little bit worse, but you can now bolster them with things like all-out defense. And their ward saves are across the board a 5 up or better, which is pretty solid.
Yeah, perfect.
Oh, okay.
But let's get on to the model, which is brand new coming out with this release, which is the Lord Vitriolic. This is a very disturbing creature. In life, it was something like a poisoner or a maker
Snake
of
oil
like
merchant of some sort.
fake potions and
Okay.
curatives who deceives people and sort of let them down or led them to ruin. And Nagash is able to claim his soul because of his sort of malpractice, his evil deeds, and has reformed him into this horrific Lord Vitriolic with like backward jointed arms on top of his spine. He's horrible, but really fun in the game.
Yeah, so he's got some very fun rules. So basically, you can see his rack of potions on his back there. And the way that that manifests in games is you can create specialist potions and throw them at enemy units. And you've got two options on how you do that. You can either just chuck a bunch of random potions at the enemy and roll some random things to see what happens to them, or you can concoct a very specific potion to do a specific job. And the effects of those can range from things like doing harm to the enemy unit, taking away some of their advantages, all the way through to things like stripping ward reward saves from enemy
Yeah,
units. So
that one looks
it's a
pretty
really
rewards.
good little
Okay.
problem-solving unit. So you can go, right, what enemy am I facing? What I'd really like against this is this specific bonus or this specific debuff to the enemy unit, or just to do some damage. So I think we're going to see a lot of this guy in Nighthaunt armies.
Absolutely. And as with the Flesh Eater Courts, there is a new spearhead for the Nighthaunt. This is the Cursed Shackle Horde. It's just all the ghosts all the time, right? An absolutely brilliant box loaded with everything you'd want to either kickstart an army, reinforce an army, or play games of Spearhead.
Yep, it's very cool. And obviously a great place to start a new Nighthaunt army.
Yeah, absolutely. Those things were cool.
They're cool.
But there's a lot of people here who have been holding onto their hats really patiently, hoping that we maybe, show them something they've never ever seen before.
That would certainly be cool.
Well, why don't we start with this?
Why? Why did it pause? Why? Why? Oh, okay. Oh, oh God! I'm getting back to Sigmar. Look at those things.
What an incredible reveal, Eddie! I know you're super excited.
I am very excited. This might be my new Age of Sigmar army. These are the Hellsmiths of Hashut. These are effectively the reincarnation
Okay,
of the
listen,
Chaos
man. Let's
Dwarf
take a little
concept for Warhammer Age of Sigmar. An entirely redesigned and brand new army, coming out first in an army set. Arriving alongside its new battle tome. The army set also serves as the spearhead force for the Hellsmiths of Hashut. These models are phenomenally cool. The rules are great. The lore is great. I love absolutely everything about them. Let's dive into the miniatures.
I think the first thing I want to say
excited.
is let's talk about like why they are these. When the time of chaos happened in the mortal realms, the Duardin, they retreated. They survived in their holds, or they took to the skies, or whatever. But
not these guys.
But not
these
so
guys.
the Zardron, the Chaos Duardin, who would become known as the Hellsmiths of Hashut. They instead turned to Hashut, an ancient and terrible Duardin deity who taught them the ways of hellsmithing.
Yeah.
So, and their whole culture is based around Hashut, the Bullfather. And we're going to see that sort of writ large across all of these models. Let's dive into the first thing that appears in this new army set. These are the Infernal Cohort with Hashutite Spears. Say that fast if you can. They are the core unit for the Hellsmiths of Hashut. They are an elite combat unit straight off the bat. These are very dangerous Duardin indeed. And the first thing to observe is those Hashutite Spears. Each of them has got like a glowing orb in it. That contains imprisoned, ground down, reconstituted demon essence, because that's how they roll.
So the demon legions that invaded the various Duardin holds during the Age of Chaos, some of them took over the holds, but where the Hellsmiths of Hashut dwelled, they instead trapped those demon legions and decided to weaponize them into a fuel to power their war machines, their weapons, and their technology.
So
that
I
green
do
glow, as you
have-
say, is ground up demon juice that is powering the weapons of the Hellsmiths.
Yeah, it's so cool. Things to talk about within this unit.
I do
obviously
have
you've got like
the,
a unit champion you see,
like, the
you've
first
got
edition
a musician,
Chaos
which is like this weird
Dwarf,
combination
so
of the bare-chested Duardin
that's-
and a Hobgrot carrying a massive gong on
I'm
his back.
gonna
and
make
obviously
them in the live stream. I'm gonna make their own thing.
It's a two-for kit. That's like internalism for this kit makes two different types of unit. And so here you have them with Hashutite blades, basically shorter ways of
Okay.
killing people. They have different profiles within the game.
Yeah,
and
both
they're
very
brilliant.
useful. The spears generally are your slightly more defensive thing, so you get bonuses against enemy that's charging you, against cavalry. The swords are the slightly more offensive option, where you get bonuses for fighting into enemy infantry and taking the fight to the enemy. But both effectively heavily armored elite infantry.
Yeah, absolutely so. And you can paint them in different colours. The studio team's done a lovely job. The banner in the middle just is a really interesting nod to sort of the Zardron culture, which is, that's a ziggurat in the middle of that banner, right, with the Bullfather's rune above. They live in ziggurat cities, and each one is ruled by a war despot. As if by magic, here is the war despot.
You plan the whole thing.
This is
That thing.
my favourite model within this.
It's a great
army set.
hat.
It might be
It's a
my,
great hat.
my favourite of the Hellsmiths. It's just so good. Huge hat, great big spikes. He's carrying an enormous warglaive, which is glowing. See the runes at the top glowing with this sort of eldritch power. The war despots, they have to rule through a mixture of sort of violence and also through just ensuring that everybody around them knows that they are the nastiest, toughest of all of the Hellsmiths. So they are dominant figures.
Yeah, like any Duardin, they couldn't demand the loyalty of their followers unless they were able to lead from the front, basically. So they're not cowardly, but they certainly are diabolical schemers, sort of thing. So they will lead their
Yeah,
armies
absolutely.
into battle proudly, but certainly not go for a fair
And
fight.
their whole reason for being as an entire culture is it's just like weaponized greed. They plunder and take from the land, and they give nothing back. If they don't want it, they destroy it. They are like cruel in the extreme, because that's how they survived the time of chaos.
Yeah, they don't see themselves as corrupted through that. That's an
No.
interesting
There's
kind of
there's no physical side effects at all to what they've gone through.
An interesting sub point. They see themselves as almost the paragons of purest order, right?
Yeah.
So they've taken the assault of chaos and they've ground it down and created like order from chaos.
This is
but
crazy.
in the mortal realms, they're paving over the natural order and putting up the monuments to Hashut and the great ziggurats that power their industry.
Yeah, absolutely. Also within this spearhead is just this incredible centerpiece model, the Dominator engine.
look at that
It's
thing.
another kit that makes two things. So here you can see the immolation cannons. This is a enormous metal creation which is animated and powered by this demon energy roiling inside it. Have a look at the sort of brazier in its belly. You can see the demonic eyes peering out as like the demonic souls within a torch.
I love the flames on these things.
Power.
That kind of like green into purple fire is such a beautiful sort of aesthetic. This is both an incredibly cool miniature, which I think I'm looking forward to see what painters do with this, because the heavy metal one is wonderful, but I think once this goes out into the wild and you've got,
You're going to see
you know,
incredible interpretation.
Yeah, 1,000 painters painting this. It's going to be amazing. I can imagine this in beautiful non-metallics.
Yeah,
In game, this
I
thing is
know.
an
Yep, I'm
absolute
gonna
juggernaut.
paint it
Right? So it has a
non-metallic.
2-up save, armor save, which in Age of Sigmar is almost unheard of. It has loads of wounds. It hits really hard. The combat version can mulch entire units. The shooting version is what you want if you want to wade into the middle of an enemy army and just set the whole thing on fire. Like a lot of the stuff in the Hellsmiths army, their kind of army mechanic allows you to harness a demon power on specific units, so you can bolster the power of it. And on these, it's particularly devastating.
Fantastic. And we're still not done. Also within
More.
the spearhead,
Give me more.
You'll find this. This is the Tormentor Bombard. The Chaos
Ah.
Dwarfs of old, if you cast your mind back, if you're old enough like me, to the world that was, the Chaos Dwarfs were renowned for devastating artillery, particularly that lobbed things far across the battlefield. And that concept has been reimagined for the Mortal Realms with this just beautiful Tormentor Bombard, raw demonic power hurled high into the air to come crashing down upon the enemy. It's deadly in the game.
Yeah, this is the war machine you use if you're being advanced on by multiple enemy units. So you can fire at a single enemy unit, and the units nearby also take damage. That's how devastating this is. Very long range. I think it shoots 30 inches, which again is very good in Age of Sigmar. I think the Hellsmiths of Hashut, between this and some of their other units, have claimed to being one of the most devastating shooting armies in the Mortal Realms.
Well, let's talk a bit more about that, because I think we have the Death Shrieker rocket battery. Brilliant for just like blowing up the enemy's big impressive things, right?
Yeah, so this is a monster killer, right? So where your other war machine is the thing to take out blocks of enemy infantry and kind of massed formations, this is they have one big monster that I want to be dead. You can fire this at them, and this, with a fair, with decent rolls, will take out a monster in a single volley.
You're
which is
firing
pretty good.
essentially a demon energy imbued bolt the size of 2 Duarden, stood sort of head to toe. Yeah, it's grim. This launch set also includes a battle tome. It also includes all of the War Scroll cards that you would want to have with your collection. It's the perfect jumping on point for an all-new Hellsmith of Hashut army.
Well, I was saving for a new graphics card,
But that's not
but
it.
I guess I'm not getting
More,
that
let me show you
anymore.
some more.
Okay, show me more. Show me more. Oh my God, Hellsmith.
If the launch box wasn't awesome enough, they will be followed shortly thereafter with all of those incredible models that you just saw, rounding out the force into a really substantial and impressive Warhammer Age of Sigmar army.
Yeah, immediately out of the gate, you have almost a full army offer, basically, of stuff. And we start off with one of the classic units of Warhammer returning. Bull Centaurs have been part of Warhammer for, I think, almost 35 years, something like that.
I remember being charged
about
by
time.
these
Yes.
when I was
It's about time.
13 or 14.
In their classic red with green bases back it was in the day. But this is a heavy cavalry unit. They are basically the experts at riding down enemy forces and crushing them under their hooves. They hit very hard. They're well armored. These are the sort of manifestation of the power of Hashut in kind of form. The Duardin here have kind of warped to be more alike to their ancient ancestor god.
Look at those things.
Yeah, absolutely. You said a thing to me earlier that I thought was really striking, which is Hashut's whole thing is like trampling the mortal realms underfoot, right? He's the Dwarven gods sort of inherited a different realm, and he gets stuck with the realm.
So there's loads of really great lore in the new battle tome, and one of the things that comes out is the idea that there were the ancestor gods of the Dwarven, and Hashut was almost like one of them, right? He was like one of the pantheon, and he was given the realm of beasts, and he sort of felt that was almost like an insult, right? Like, I don't want the realm of beasts. So rather than trying to kind of be harmonious with it, he decided to just trample it flat. So all of his incarnation of beast power is in the form of trampling, in the form of kind of harnessing and subjugating nature.
Yeah, so let's look at the another sort of variation that this kit enables you to make, which are the Anointed Sentinels. These are the most devoted towards Hashut of the Hellsmiths. They guard his holy places, whatever a holy place for the Bull Father Hashut might look like. So they're much more defensive than the other Bull Centaurs, although by no means a passive unit. They're just really great at counterpunching. And when you consider how much of the force might be standing back and raining death on the enemy, very useful in their own right. You also get like a little interesting nod to that Hashutite culture, sort of breathed into it through these.
Yeah, I love those miniatures. They might be my favourite in the range, those particular sculpts.
They also key into that sort of classic imagery that we're used to from before, as does the next
I like
unit.
the other version better.
We'll see. So here's some variations, but we have the Infernal Razors. Now, these have got blunderbusses. And if you are long enough in the beard, you might remember Chaos Dwarf blunderbusses from yesteryear.
The absolute terror of Warhammer Fantasy 6th edition, I think.
Yeah, it was diabolical.
Oh my God.
These are a very dangerous shooting unit in their own right. Again, they're harnessing that sort of demonic power to operate their weapons. There's no gunpowder necessary here. And the kit makes two options. So you have those and you have the flame hurlers, which, I mean, they hurl flames. There's not much more explanation particularly required.
Yeah, two really powerful units. The blunderbusses, not much to choose between them, really. They both do a great job. The blunderbusses have got a little bit more range on them. The flame hurlers can fire while you're in combat, which is really handy. So even if the enemy manages to reach you, you can still sort of set them on fire. But the thing that really makes them is that through the army rule mechanic, you can power them up and power up the demonic energy inside their guns, which basically increases the rend on the guns. You can get these things up to rend 3, doing multiple damage, which is absolutely horrific. So if the enemy is like charging your big unit of Infernal Razors, and you get like a decent round of shooting against it, you can wipe out things like heavy cavalry and whole units of armored infantry and stuff like that. Yeah, they are very, very good.
Yeah. Now everything we've shown you really is quite elite and high value.
Get ready for the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. But what if you want some chaff to hurl under the wheels of the enemy, so to speak? Good news. There is a genial relationship between the Hellsmiths of Hashut and the Hobgrots, who sort of bolster their
Oh,
ranks.
they're Hobgrots.
Hobgrots are also really into doing awful things and desecrating the world, and so they exist as
cement.
almost like a vassal state within the Zardron culture. In exchange for better weapons than they could like forage for themselves, they get to join the army and whack stuff. They fill a really interesting niche in that they are faster than the Hellsmiths and they can scout, right?
They absolutely can. So the way these guys
Okay.
are going to fit into
So
your
those
army,
are like-
most of your force is going to be very good at shooting, but relatively slow. So you're going to be moving on to the objectives late game, but these can scout, as you say, so you can kind of push them forward early in the game, grab those objectives, just get under the feet of enemy units. They will absolutely be used for things like trying to take a charge from something so you can set all your other units up for an amazing round of shooting, or to charge them with bull centaurs or something like that.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you will absolutely want some of these in your force. We've obviously seen Hobgrots before in the kind of Cruel Boys force, but these are armoured and equipped by the Hellsmiths themselves. So they've got slightly better armour, maybe than the ones that don't
None of
have
that
them.
sort of eldritch power in the weapons, though, not for these guys.
Oh, no, they don't get to play with any of the cool demon stuff.
So let's look at some of the extra sort of heroes that join the faction. This is the Demon Smith. They are the ones who do the hellsmithing, I suppose it's fair to say.
Oh my
and,
lord! Look at that
You
guy.
can see in this model there's some real sort of hints as to who he is. Obviously a wizard. He's got that demonic power sort of coming out of
my
his
God.
hand. He's got his tome, looks like it's sort of etched in. I don't know what
Like
stone
in
that is.
Obsidian Jade. or
Yeah,
something like that,
exactly.
isn't it? Yeah.
With like vile runes. I think his lectern is animated. In a nutshell, they
How
are.
good is that paint scheme, though?
it's
Whoever painted that in the heavy metal team, well done.
Yeah.
Well done,
it's,
guys.
It's just
Oh
stunning.
my God.
They fill a particular function because they're the ones that enable all of the sort of the hellsmithing. to
Yeah,
take
they
place.
allow the kind of army to work. In game terms, they do a particularly useful thing, as well as being a wizard, which is obviously great. They can heal your war machines as well. So if you've got any of
Okay.
those big infernal
they're like-
engines, or you've got any of your cannons that have been damaged, they can kind of go over and put the power back into them, sort of thing.
Yeah, this kit has another option in it. It also makes an Ashen Elder. We showed you the Anointed Centaurs, who are the ones who guard the holy sites. This is the person doing the rituals inside the holy sites. And you can see that petrification has started to happen to his skin. The older a Hellsmith gets, the more they start to become like stone. Their skin cracks. If they're very powerful, if they have the right magics available,
You can
to
hold it
them,
at
they
bay
can-
a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely.
maybe.
But doom is upon them. There's a couple of really interesting things. I like his staff. I'm just going to eulogize about how
All right.
beautiful it is that the smoke makes it look like a beard. But you had a fascinating fact about the hammer.
Yeah, so there's lots of things that are really fun about this miniature, but if we go for hammer particularly, there's not a lot of hammers in the Hellsmiths of Hashut, and one of the reasons is that hammers are actually seen as a slightly profane symbol to the Hellsmiths because they remind them of the other dwarven ancestor gods, which really like hammers. But this particular hammer is blessed in the blood of other Duardin priests, so he would have like found a runesmith or something, or one of the Caradron priests or something, and then slain them in a sacrifice and blessed the hammer in that blood. So that's why he's the one with the hammer when no other
So
Hellsmiths
if
seem
you're
to
a
have them.
Fire Slayer player, a Caradron Overlord
Oh, they hate
player,
this guy.
like
Yeah.
pick on this guy the
Oh,
most, right?
the Caradrons and the Fire Slayers really do not get on with the Hellsmiths. Like there is a lot. They've got beef. Basically,
Yeah,
with
absolutely
them.
so. There's also another character we should talk about. This is Urak
look
Tar.
at that.
He's the first demon
okay.
smith.
Gotta take a break.
Back
Gotta
in
cement.
that ancient
We have to
time
cement.
when the Hellsmiths needed to learn to survive, he learned the secrets of this demon smithing from Hashut. He
Oh
is
my God.
truly ancient and abominably powerful. You can see how that manifests his the petrification on the back, like deep trenches of like rock starting to form out of his flesh, horns erupting from his skull. He's mounted on an enormous infernal, my brain's just gone blank, infernal Taurus, just centerpiece written all over him, incredible spot within the lore. Wonderful.
Yeah, very, very cool miniature. It's a 2-for-1 kit as well, which is really cool. It also makes your Demon Smith on Infernal Taurus. There's a bunch of options on this kit as well, which is amazing. So,
I like this
I
one
actually
better.
can't wait to see what painters do with this kit particularly, because
Yeah,
it is
absolutely.
just asking for a beautiful color scheme. You can imagine this in like beautiful non-metallics or metallics or glowing runes or
the glowing-
kind of petrified rock or something else. But again, that kind of manifestation of Hashut as never deciding to use the natural materials, right? It's always going to be industrial in some way, or made out of iron or metal or stone or something like that.
And the only wood on the base is like burned
Burnt
through
to cinder.
it's
Yeah,
so
you,
good.
you can imagine him walking through a forest of just like that.
Yeah, should we take a look at some of the models in the flesh? We've got them here in the room with us, and we can give you some sort of
I've got
a sense
ourselves
of
a
their
little
forms.
lineup.
Yeah, look at this.
Look at that.
It's looking good. Here is my personal favourite. You have the War Despot. You can see he's a very chunky looking Duard, and if I stick this Infernal Razor next to him, you get a sense of, sorry, I'm just making your life harder with the camera there, perfect. You can see like bigger in stature, more powerful. Moving along, you have the Demon Smith and the Ashen Elder. Teeny tiny little Hobgrot on the end of the line. Really quite sort of scrawny, just perfect for, subverting to your will and getting through your daily work.
Just for
so
kind of scale
I'm
purposes,
not
that's the
watching
same
the
size,
slide.
more or less, as the
So-
Hobgrots that currently
so
exist
let
in
me
the Cruel Boys range, so you get an
let
idea
me
of
skip
the size.
this.
Much larger. We have
okay, that looks
the
cool.
bull center.
Okay. Oh, right here.
Seamlessly into the Warhammer Underworlds. So welcome to Spikewood. This is an expansion for Warhammer Underworlds. It's the scene is essentially you're in the Spikewood. You have a Hellsmiths of Hashut.
I tried playing
warband
Underworld,
fighting
didn't
against
like
the
it.
Canothi.
but
So it
I
really
do
is
have to
industry
say
versus nature.
the models.
Yeah, there's a strong
they're
rivalry
so
in
good.
In the Mortal Realms between the Hellsmiths, who are all about, like, as we say, trampling nature underfoot, and the Sylvaneth, who are all about protecting nature, and the Canothi are a particularly kind of warlike aspect of that, following the kind of absent hunter god Kurnoth. So they will defend the wild places of the Mortal Realms.
Yeah, so here you can see the two warbands. So this is an expansion, as we say, for Emberguard. And you have the Hellsmiths, you have the Canothi. The Blood of the Bull is the Hellsmiths unit. Bottom left-hand corner, you have a War Despot. Her army advancing into the Spikewood has suffered a strategic reversal.
that
so she's regrouped
just
with
for the
her
models.
sort of remaining warriors, her inner circle. And she's waiting on reinforcements before she can raise the place to the ground. So she finds herself contesting it, obviously, against the other warband.
Yeah, and you've got some great archetypes in the mix there as well. I particularly like the Hobgrot.
He deserves a call out, doesn't he?
He does, because if you've been playing Warhammer for a very long time, you may remember Hobgoblins from Warhammer Fantasy Battle, and there was a unit called Throat Cutters, I think it was, or Throat Slitters. He is basically a homage to those.
It's really lovely.
Which is really lovely to see.
Yeah, they've got their rules reflect that sort of plunder, take what you want, decimate the landscape just for the joy of it sort of mentality. The other warband in this set is, he says, well, there we go, the Kurnoth's Herald. There's three of them in the kit. They make these Canothi. The thing to point out with them in terms of like their rules and how they play is that they're very defensive because they're holding what they've got. They're not interested in stealing other people's stuff. They just want to protect their woods. And so while they're in their own area of the board, if you're an Underworlds player, you'll be familiar with the sort of mechanic. They're better, so they're better at defending their own objectives.
So it's quite an interesting warband then, because they're quite a fast warband, and usually you expect that to be quite aggressive.
Yeah.
But your bonuses are for defensive play.
Yeah, so redeploying, fighting in different areas in your own area, and
I love these miniatures. I think we've seen Canothi in Underworlds before, and this is a kind of expansion of that. But I think this is a phenomenally cool looking warband.
I looked at them too long, and I'm really disturbed by their gemstones glowing
You've
in
said
their
that you don't like
buttons.
the glowing
Yeah,
belly
it's
buttons.
something about it, man.
I dig it. I'm here for glowing belly buttons.
So there we go. Awesome stuff also for Warhammer Underworlds. What an awesome set of releases for Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
And 10 years of Warhammer.
That's a
Sigmar
really
as
fair
well.
point. Yeah. 10 years ago this month, we saw the arrival of the Mortal Realms, the birth of Warhammer Age of Sigmar. And we're going to be sort of showing over the coming year a whole bunch of interesting things to do with the Mortal Realms. So if you enjoy Warhammer Age of Sigmar, you're in for a good time.
Yeah. It's taken the Hellsmiths a long time to get here, hasn't it?
Yeah, it
but
was
then they
worth the
are
wait.
only movement 4. So
Raph has respectably reminded us that there is, in fact, 5 more things to
Oh,
talk
there's
about.
more. Look at this.
And we're already getting the move along sign. There are 4 more boxes coming for Warhammer Underworlds. Each box contains 4 warbands. Each box also synergizes with a particular faction. So this is the Order one, the Seekers in Shadow, and it contains 4 warbands from the Order faction, Grand Alliance, I should say. This is the Death one. These are the Reavers of Ruin, the Chaos warbands. And we've saved my favourite to last because I'm allowed to. The Gits and Goliath, the Destruction warbands. Anybody who plays Warhammer Underworlds will know each Warhammer Underworlds warband is lovely, right? They're just characterful and they home into a different part of the Mortal Realm setting. And you get 4 in a box. It's delightful. To play with them, you would need to pick up this, which is the Warbands of Spitewood. It contains all the cards and everything that you want. So whether you fancy playing with them in Warhammer Underworlds, seamlessly integrating them with their War Scroll cards into Warhammer Age of Sigmar, or just having some different hobby experiences, there's 16 opportunities in 4 boxes.
There are, every one of those boxes is all killer, no filler. There are some beautiful miniatures in there, including
The Dwarven Gods, right? But he feels ostracized. They understandably want to ostracize him. So the Hellsmiths kind of vilely resent the other Dwarven Gods. It's a very fractious relationship, which is why there's such vitriol between them. Great questions. Thank you very much. We need to go to our next setting, which we will do by moving to the timeline of the Horus Heresy.
let's do it.
So there are a multitude of great releases coming if you play Legions Imperialis. It's all tanks. So if you're
So
a
many
treadhead,
tanks.
settle
So
in
many tanks.
and we'll take you on a tour. Several boxes of fantastic plastic kits that make some really interesting additions to your army. On screen now you can see the Whirlwind and Scorpius set. It's 8 of those, 4 of each. And so if you want to just rain death on the enemy, blow them out of their cover, this really is a wonderful way to do it. Built on that famous Rhino chassis, as is the Vindicator Siege Tank Squadron. Essentially, what's the biggest gun you can stick on a Rhino? Oh, it appears to be a gun with a breech
What
big
if
enough
I
to
want?
stuff a
I
whole
want an
Space
even
Marine
bigger
in it.
gun, though, Adam. I want a bigger gun.
You want to do a heavier siege?
I want a
than
heavier
that.
siege gun than that.
Well, I've got some very good news
Oh, that's
for you.
it. That's exactly it.
The Type on Heavy Siege Tank Squadron is on the way. It's even bigger and more dangerous than the Vindicator. And you get like a nice guy with a flamer just warming things up and making sure that everything goes according
Is he
to plan.
contributing? Like, by the time you've been shot by that
I like
siege
to
gun, how
imagine
much of a flamethrower do you really
I
need?
imagine he's just like baking off what's left, you know,
Maybe,
they drive
yeah,
through and he's
maybe.
like, you're getting some and you're getting some. So if you want to blow things up from further away, maybe there's a Titan squadron that offends you, then you could do a lot worse than the Cerberus Heavy Tank Destroyer Squadron. These are firing turbo lasers. That guy's offering you a fist bump. It is a wonderful time to be driving tanks over the enemy.
Yeah, some debate in the office as to whether
Imperialis.
it's a heavy tank destroyer or a heavy tank destroyer.
Yeah, exactly. We've had some debate
Let us
on
know in the chat which one you think
Yeah,
it is.
do you think it's a heavy tank for destroying or a tank for destroying heavy things? Answers.
Possibly
in the chat.
both. Possibly both.
The heaviest of all of the tanks, it's so heavy, it's super heavy, is the Mastodon Assault Transport. What if you want to just pack Space Marines into a tank, drive it across the battlefield, open your gates and charge into an enemy stronghold, having leveled the walls with a melter array? Then this is the way for you to do so. It's even got its own anti-aircraft system on the top, and the pilot of that is offering you a crisp fist bump as well. I imagine he gets on great with the other guy.
It's sort of a 30,000 equivalent of a siege tower, isn't it?
I
That's
love
the
it.
kind of vibe.
The design on this, we've seen this at like standard Warhammer 40,000 scale. It's beautiful. It's still beautiful at small scale. It's just little.
Yeah.
So those kits, like loads and loads of tanks, the Treadheads rejoice. All of the rules for those, in fact, all of the rules for all of the units in Legions Imperialis can be found in Liber Strategia. Essentially, a thing that combines all of the rules and puts them in one place. If you've got a copy of the core rulebook and got a copy of this, you are ready to rock and roll, along with a whole bunch of other rules content. There's too much to go into here and now, but have a look in the article that's going to be on Warhammer Community, and we'll talk more about it closer to the launch. What if you really like the letters A through F and you want to mark objectives and or token effects? We're releasing a really just useful set of token markers for you to use in your games. I find these sort of things very...
So this is the new Mark II Assault Marines. Mark II is kind of one of the more brutal looking of the various different weapons. And as you can see with the Salamander on the screen there as well, you can also equip them with combat shields. So loads of new units. So this is a really great example. This is a Saturnine command squad. And what you've got here is a unit that's taken bits from the command squads.
...that's gone into it and the narrative that the Dark Millennium. And we do now with 5 new Space Marine heroes for 5 of the first founding chapters.
Right, this is Vulcan Heston. So this is a model returning that has previously been in metal and resin and is now in plastic. Vulcan Heston is a famed hero of the Salamanders chapter, and his particular mission is to scour the galaxy looking for the relics left by his Primarch, the namesake Vulcan. He wears some of those relics himself, so he is equipped with an artificer suit of armor. He is carrying a handheld heavy flamer and a blade of Vulcan that crackles with magma fire and is able to slice through enemy warriors. He's also walking through flames, just in case you weren't sure he was as cool as he can be. He's just walking through the fire there as well. He is probably the most iconic Salamander's character that exists in Warhammer 40,000, and it's great to see him in plastic. He has a couple of head options. You can have helmeted or unhelmeted.
Health and safety first.
Both of them look very, very cool indeed. He is only one of the 5 new Space Marine characters.
Next up, we have a very iconic and well-known hero returning in a new incarnation. Darnath Lysander, first captain of the first company, I probably should say, of the Imperial Fists chapter. He's been remade in the sort of new Terminator armor style that we saw for the first time.
Yeah, the same scale as the ones
yeah,
in the recent Warhammer 40,000.
And he is a substantial man in that armor. He has an enormous storm shield. He's carrying that incredible looking thunder
might be
hammer.
the best storm shield in Warhammer. It's up there, isn't it?
It's right up
It's
there,
up there.
yeah. I think the Lion might argue with you, but we're talking top 3, right? Yeah, everything you'd expect from this iconic hero of the Imperial Fists chapter.
Nice to see a helmeted option in there.
Yeah, absolutely. They're taking the...
If you don't want to paint a face, and sometimes you just want to get on the battlefield nice and fast.
yeah, I mean, if it wasn't yellow, I don't know, I might find it easy to paint the flesh, to be honest. He is not the only. There are 5 of them altogether. So next up, we have Canok Var, a new character for the Iron Hands chapter. This is the captain of the Averni clan.
Yeah. The equivalent to your kind of captain of the first company.
Yeah.
Again, a Terminator in the same scale as the recent new Terminator kits. Some really lovely little features on here, really leaning into the kind of Iron Hands lore. You've got lots of nods towards his technological know-how and their kind of alliance with the Adeptus Mechanicus.
Yeah, he's got sort of servo skulls attached by data tethers, sort of conjuring information. Look at the one on the bottom right-hand corner. He looks like he's projecting a Fortress of Redemption.
Yeah, he's got like a little holograph of perhaps a building that they're planning to besiege.
And I think my favourite thing on this model is actually the power maul, which is shaped after a Tetsubo, not a weapon you're used to seeing, and it just really works on this guy. Sort of straightforward, practical, extremely brutal. Yeah. Next up, and I think for many people this will be the sort of
this one's cool, guys.
The model which fires your imagination. The Raven Guard have a new chapter master.
Absolutely love this guy. So the new chapter master of the Raven Guard. And you might be saying, Eddie, they already have a chapter master. What happened to Shrike? Shrike has led the Raven Guard for some years, but has decided that actually his place is better in the shadows as the captain of stealth assaults, and he has left Etheon Shan to lead the Raven Guard as their figurehead and their commander. And the miniature is absolutely phenomenal. We very recently had Logan Grimnar released, I think only this last weekend, and this continues the tradition of having just an absolutely phenomenally cool looking chapter master miniature.
Yeah, he's redolent in sort of the imagery of the Raven Guard chapter that you'd expect to see. There's those sort of tassels that sort of dangle from him with the sort of secret runic script of deliverance. He's got feathers and fetishes.
Look at those
and
claws.
He's got 3 head options. Aethon Shan is a really just tremendous centerpiece model, and I think the Raven Guard fans out there are going to be delighted by what he presents. And there's one more. Sabodin Khan. He is the first captain of the White Scars chapter, so he leads its first company on this just mighty looking grav bike. It's got a Gatling cannon mounted into the front. He's just the perfect embodiment of that White Scars hero huntsman archetype.
Yeah, it's very, very cool. There's all sorts of beautiful Chigorian details on him there. You can see the kind of pattern on the front of the jet bike is very reminiscent of some of their Heresy era designs on their dreadnoughts and things like that. We've got the model with us in a second. We're going to have a kind of look at it, but there's some beautiful detail on the back. He's got kind of Chigorian shields and sheaths and decapitated enemy heads and stuff like that. It is just the most White Scars looking thing you've ever seen. It fits beautifully in an army if you've got lots of outriders and fast moving stuff. It's been quite a long wait for the White Scars to have a character on a bike, and it's well worth it.
Had to walk, haven't they? So not anymore. Really beautiful. How do I get my hands on these? You say there's some questions to answer there. There's a series of combat patrols coming out. Listen carefully, and I'll explain the one piece of nuance to this. Sabodin Khan is in the White Scars combat patrol. You see it here. It's 3 outrider bikes, an intercessor assault squad, a transport, and Saboden Khan. He will be available separately not that long after the release of this Combat Patrol. He's the only one of these new heroes that comes inside a Combat Patrol.
I
The
really
others
want Vulcan to come with Eradicators.
are available separately, but here are the Combat Patrols that come out with them. So you have an Imperial Fist Combat Patrol, just full of heavily armored Imperial Fist troops. You've got Terminators and a command group, and it just looks wonderful. Next up, Iron Hands, heavy intercessors, heavy weapons, everything you might expect from these tough, durable warriors of the Iron Hands chapter. The Raven Guard, a bit more
Fast and Phobos.
yeah, fast.
the way to
That's
do it.
good. I like that. That was strong. Yeah, they're going to get in amongst it much faster. Imagine Aethon Shan leading those; it'll be tremendous. But what if you just want to carry all the flames all the time?
Yeah.
Every model in this entire Combat Patrol has something that makes.
I'm
you
sorry,
hotter.
guys.
Either
I
a
have
melter
to
gun or a flamethrower in
fast
some way,
forward
shape,
this
or form.
because-
I think there's some assault intercessors who maybe ruin my attempt
Oh,
to
no.
connect
It does
But
come
you
with
know what? That is a
Eradicators.
lot of flamer and or melter, and I think you can excuse us. for being
Some new
slightly-
transfers in those kits as well. Adam, I know you
Yeah,
were a very
no,
big fan of that when we were
you've
looking
just,
through.
hit
kit-
on.
I'm sorry, guys. I have to fast forward this. I don't want to. I want to. I actually gonna plan to rewatch this, but I have to.
First ever officially licensed wearable Space Marine helmet. This is
Oh.
the Lieutenant Titus Mark 10 helmet made by Joy-Toy. If you've not heard of Joy-Toy,
Okay, I put on a
choice whether you
helmet.
want to get the helmet separately or with that, but I've had this sat in my office.
Okay, kill team.
which is there are 10 of these guys in the box. You can build them in a
Yeah,
whole
yeah.
range of take on a Space Marine, but the other troops in her
Central to the right-hand side.
Okay,
Then the
now
smaller things,
we
they
are
are your,
catch up with the
your
live stream.
reanimators or your warriors. So normally, day to day, they'd just be pooling around, making sure everything's safe and well. They'd be reanimating some Necrons, but when the Death Watch come knocking, they leap into action.
Yeah, the crawlers have got some particularly formidable weaponry, right? So like they're up against the Death Watch kill team. So the guns on those can take out a Space Marine if they get a good solid round of firepower. They
Yeah,
are one
absolutely.
of you've got your kind of central character which does all the kind of utility stuff. Then you've got two really good solid gun platforms, and then you've got the rest of the force which whizzes around and does the objective taking stuff. So it's a really flexible little kill team. Also worth pointing out that the box has a bunch of Necron warriors.
Yep.
Why does it have a bunch of Necron warriors, you might ask? They're not in the kill team. Well, one of the other things that you get inside this box is rules for playing basically co-op missions where you both play as Death Watch and you're up against hordes, undying hordes of Necron warriors. as they
Joint operations is super fun, and the chance to do this as a Death Watch kill team, sort of stalking around a Necron, awakening Necron tomb complex is almost too appealing to say no to.
and just a great other way of playing the game.
I'm going to totally jump on it. Have a look around this board, and you can see in some of those alcoves there are those reanimating Necrons and stuff.
And there's like weird
It's-
portals
yeah,
and
it's
glyphs
just
and all sorts of stuff.
replete
Yeah.
with cool imagery. There's fallen masonry. You can imagine they've been asleep for so long that seismic events, whatever, of course, needs to fall down. Plus, and or maybe the wolf spear hitting everything with his hammer. This is going to be just peak Warhammer adventures in a tomb complex. I love it.
And of course, both of these kill teams will be usable in Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah, absolutely.
There'll be a way to use your Death Watch in that game as well, and your new Necrons. And of course, there is a new book, a new dossier that comes with this, which has all the rules you need to play these in your games of kill team.
Yeah, let's have a look at some of them in the flesh. It comes in a box. There you go. Let's have a look at some of these in the flesh. In particular, it'd be good to get the Geomancer in because that gives a
let's
sense
have
of
a
the
look at
scale.
the scale.
So my favourite with the frag cannon, but when you put the Geomancer in here, square it off. There we go. So there's some like narrative around the events here, which is quite cool. We were having a read. So when we learned that the Geomancer was in fact a lady. If you haven't already twigged yet, this is a raptor. This guy, check him out. So you get a nice mix of scale from obviously the Geomancer and the reanimators on the sides. Loads of stuff to feast on. This is going to be a very exciting time for Kill Team. I think the Death Watch are very popular with lots of fans, and they're so iconic within the concept of Kill Team.
I think wouldn't be an exaggeration to say the most requested kill team, since the concept of kill team was sort of re-emerged into the consciousness.
absolutely. Right. I think we've done it.
I think we've done it.
We're around the 90-minute mark. I did say it would be a long one, but we've shown you all of our Warhammer previews. We should go to question corner. That was a good prompt. Well done, Simon. There's probably a question or three, right?
There's quite a few. Yeah. Do you want some rapid fire ones to get you going?
Let's see what we can do.
We're within 12.
Okay, let's go. So start off with Old World. Are the new Tomb King minis resin or plastic?
They are plastic.
Multi-part plastic kits. Definitely said it.
Let's go with the Kill Team Tomb World. Is the new Necron terrain similar in dimension to the Gallodark terrain?
It is similar.
yeah.
I don't think it's exactly the same.
Yeah, Gallodark would be a good reference point.
So we've got Warhammer Underworlds. Will the new warbands or any of the re-released Grand Alliance warbands be receiving rules to use them in Warhammer Age of Sigmar?
I believe you can use all of them in Age of Sigmar, can't you? I don't want to. Certainly. Well, I'm not going to commit. There you go. Show my face as a face of non-committal.
One thing that is worth saying is that quite a lot of the new battle tomes have a place for the Warhammer Underworlds warbands as generic archetypes of that thing. So the Gloomspite kits, for example, you've got a place for the wolves.
I think that's a more comprehensive answer.
That's
Eddie,
probably the place that you'll find them going forwards.
That's fair. The Hellsmiths are going into Warcraft. We said that already. We have said that already.
Yeah.
Well done us.
So
been a long 90 minutes.
The Adeptus Astartes ones we've just seen. Does Subadin Khan have a helmeted option?
He does have a helmeted option.
Very cool.
Although I think
Safety first.
any adherence to health and safety would be an absolute abomination when you're riding free in the wind.
You
like the
might
White
be
Scars.
riding in a vacuum, at
No,
which point
no,
you're probably
just
allowed.
hold your breath.
Just
Get on with it. Yeah.
Okay,
They've got
cool.
reinforced
There you go.
skulls. I'm sure they'll be fine. So where can we expect to see the lore and rules for the shiny new characters?
That is a great question.
good question.
The rules will be available online.
So some of the rules, if the character is being re-released, already exist
Yeah,
in Codex
that's true.
Space Marine.
So Darnath, Lysander,
yeah,
covered up
Vulcan and
already.
Lysander are already there. The other rules will be available online.
And I'm really glad you asked about the lore because I know a thing. Phil Kelly from the Warhammer 40,000 lore team came and had a chat with me, and they've written full background for each of these characters and narrative stories, which we'll be hosting on Warhammer Community in the week leading up to their release when that happens. I'm super excited because I don't know anything about Aethon Shan and I want to learn his story. So yes, there we go.
Awesome. So we've got two more quick ones if we can. So the Horus Heresy Age of Darkness. Are some of the Wargate options that are currently no longer available to certain units ever going to be revisited?
So that's a good question. So we do know that there will be more things released in plastic across the course of this edition. With some of those plastic kits, you may see Wargear options returning that have previously been available. You might also see some Wargear options that have never existed before added to those units. So hopefully that answers some of the question.
Yeah, Grant. One last one was on the Scouring. How many books can we expect to see in the series?
At least one, because it's got the number 1 on the side of it. I don't want to steal the thunder of any future sort of news from Black Library other than to announce it today. But what they have told us, and it was one of the best conversations of my professional life ever to sit down with the editing team from Black Library as they sort of poured the Scouring lore into my open brain, was this is a multi-book, multi-author series, and so you're going to be following it for some years to come.
Grant,
There
yeah.
we go.
Well, there's bazillions more questions that I couldn't possibly get to. They're scrolling past so quick. It's all I could do to find the ones I got. But yeah, thanks.
That's great. What remains, I guess, at this point in the juncture is, first of all, to thank all of you for tuning in and spending 90 minutes of brilliant Warhammer fun with us. I've really enjoyed myself.
I had a great time. I always have a great time.
Awesome. There's some general housekeeping to do. If you've missed anything in this and you want to know more, go to warhammercommunity.com. Read the articles that are there on the website. There's pictures. There's more information than Eddie and I would have remembered to tell you. And you can watch the videos back as well. If you are looking for more Warhammer excitement right now in your life, we're going to throw back to Tacoma, where there's Warhammer 40,000 tournament taking place, I believe, right now is what we're going back to. So you can hang around here, especially on the Twitch channel. I believe that is true. What else is there to say? The helmet. Go and find it on warhammermerch.com. I think we're done.
Yeah, sounds about right.
Brilliant. Right. Thank you, Simon, for asking questions. Thanks to the crew here who've made it all work. Eddie, it's been a pleasure.
Always a pleasure.
We can't wait to see you again next time. Take care.
Okay. I'm just messing around with everything. Okay, so okay. That was an amazing Warhammer preview. I really gotta go. I have to go to work. I have to figure out how to pay it for all those models that we just saw. But so yeah. So like I said, I really gotta go. I wish I was focused on the Warhammer preview for obvious reasons, but when we come back, we're gonna finish up our Blood Bowl character. I did a lot of detail on him already, and we just need to clean up some stuff, make him like, for example, that horn that I messed up. You see that tusk right there, and then we put some null oil, and he should be ready for the table. Okay, so. I really appreciate everybody joining me for the live stream. And we are going to, I promise, this should be the last time we should finish up this by next stream. So I want to say thank you for everybody, and please subscribe.